Mercy, luxurious, Heat Nation, yeah, Mercy and Lago, down to Biscayne, yay, five on the floor, ride for my dogs, where here's the thing, you can check the score, hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frauds, down to Biscayne. Kept the floor playing, got it all banned. Y'all seen the block, stop with one hand. And Pat we trust, Inspire have the guts. We're here to bring the heat, y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to Five on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
Welcome back to another post-game edition of Five on the Floor. I'm your host, Greg Sylvander. Tonight's floor plan with me, the coach, Gio Valdez. We shall get into the Miami Heat's unfortunate, heartbreaking loss to the Milwaukee Bucks. This is 2 games in a row that they end up losing on their home floor. Tight games that just didn't go their way at the end. We're going to get to the player of the game. We're going to get to the play of the night. We will get through all of our segments, but this is just a rough situation for Miami to be in. They're in this play-in situation, but they were trying to claw their way into a home game, and it looks like they're probably going to have to win out for them to try to get that home game. So we'll see how that goes. But let's talk about this game tonight. First, before we do, want to shout out Off the Floor. That's our Discord server. You want to go there to talk Miami Heat basketball 24/7. We have channels to talk not just Heat, but all kinds of other sports, travel. You can talk music. There's all kinds of different channels, so you can migrate all your social media to one place. Off the Floor, that's our Discord server, $2.99 a month. Use the link in the description of this episode. That'll get you to bypass the Apple upcharge. $2.99 a month. Off the Floor, the most heat anywhere. Gio, heartbreaking loss. There was some good that came from this game, just like I thought the Memphis game. There was some encouraging signs. Ultimately, they come up short. They didn't have Tyler Hero nor Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins, that's becoming a reoccurring theme. But to Milwaukee's credit, they did not have Damian Lillard or, I guess, Bobby Portis. So your thoughts initially just on the game, as this is a heartbreaker. They lose in overtime. Your thoughts, and then we'll get to the first segment.
Yeah, so I'm not too upset. I really like the team and how they're playing lately. This is just one of those games where they really could have used Tyler. I've been preaching it for quite a while now. I do not like when they go away from Bam. Like, Bam has now become the guy that we get going in the first quarter, and then that's it. The first, there was about 2 possessions in the overtime where he scored. He went to the basket and he had an ISO against Giannis. And I just think that they could probably go to him more. Maybe not in the ISO, but just getting him cleaner looks in his wheelhouse. But there was a lot of encouraging things, like Davion once again showing why he should be here for the foreseeable future. Kyle is another bright spot where initially they were trying to move him, but maybe they stick around and keep him for the next season as well. Wiggs, it's unfortunate because they could really use him, but there's a lot of bright spots regardless. I still think this team will win 2 games in the play-in and somehow find a way to play against Cleveland.
Yeah, I think the most optimistic viewpoint is that they, just based off the fact that they played better lately, although Chicago's been hot too. I heard they just won 11-15 or something like that, and that game's coming up. That's probably going to be the deciding factor on if Miami can jump ahead in them in the standings. But to your point, it'll be tough if it's 2 road games, but we've seen this team do, with just the 6-game winning streak. They've started to figure things out. They're playing these teams that have better records than them, like Memphis, like Milwaukee, tougher. So as much as Heat fans don't want to hear that the night that they take an L, I think that there is still a chance for them to make the playoffs. There was a bunch of guys that contributed tonight. The player of the game won't come from the Heat side. We're going to talk a little bit about everybody. We'll go to our first segment with the aggressive player of the night.
And now it's time for the A-Aggressive Insurance Player of the Night, sponsored by our friend Lynette. You can find her at insurancebylynette.com. That's with 2 N's and 2 T's, insurancebylynette.com. If you need car insurance, renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, or any other type of insurance, she's the person to go to. Based in Lauderhill, she services the entire Tri-County area here in South Florida, and she will make sure to get you the best deal. She'll probably talk to you about the Heat while you're at it. Reach out to her, insurancebylynette.com. And now, the player of the game.
So just to run down some Heat stats, Gio, we had Bam with 31 and 12 in 42 minutes. He played heavy minutes. It was an overtime game. 5 assists for Bam as well. Alec Burks, season high, 24 points, 8 of 18 from the field. He played a major role. Duncan looked a lot more like himself, shooting 40% from 3, getting you 16 points. A little bit of a quiet night from both rooks, but Davion Mitchell, 20 points off the bench. And then Kyle Anderson with 12 points, 14 rebounds. So there was a lot of good on the Heat side, but ultimately the player of the night is Giannis Antetokounmpo. 36 points, 15 of 21 from the field, 15 rebounds, 10 assists. Ethan and I talked recently on an episode about the Heat's next pursuit of a player, and if Giannis were to become available, and something that Ethan pointed out was, do you think Giannis's game will age well? I don't even think you should overthink a situation like that, but your thoughts on Giannis's night tonight, where he basically, Bam played him to a standstill in some aspects of the game, but ultimately Giannis got the best of him and was the best player on the floor. Your thoughts on his night?
Yeah, man, Giannis is one of those guys that, in the beginning, in the first half, you could probably say that Bam had a bigger impact in the game. But then in that third quarter, Giannis just took over. He's just one of those players, man, that is going to be one of those, in my opinion, top 10 all time. He impacts the game now so much more. He's such a far cry away from the player that he was in the bubble. Miami was just packing him in boxes and elbows and created that quote unquote wall. And you can't do that anymore, especially when he's surrounded by shooters and he has that midi. I think he's one of the most efficient guys from the mid range now this year. He's just continued to improve his game. He's making some ridiculous passes that he was never really making previous to the past few seasons. And when you have got like to me it's astounding how Miami's a top 10 defense by defensive rating, because there's
Right.
so many subpar defensive players, but Spo and Bam, that just is it tribute to them, man. Spo and Bam together, you're gonna have a top 12 defensive unit, but they could use more guys like Davion and Pella and guys that you can kind of switch so that Bam doesn't have to be consistently, just sticking to Giannis, and then also trying to cover out and for those passes that are kind of made for like AJ Green, for example. So Miami's just scrambling around, and it's because of Giannis, the kind of gravity that he displays on a night in, night out basis. And you look at the scoreboard and you're like, wow, it doesn't seem like he had 36, 15 and 10 or whatever it was, but he did.
His ability to get a foot in the paint and just dunk with either hand is uncanny. Like, he can come down and do it basically whenever he wants. I think that although he isn't an outside shooter, and usually you look for some of the finesse parts of a guy's game to indicate whether they'll age well, I think Giannis is going to find his way. He's a great player. He keeps himself in top condition, sculpted as can be. I think that he's a great player, and it's a shame that they won't get, it doesn't appear that they'll get a shot in the playoffs with Dame. Shout out to him. Hopefully he gets healthy soon. But Giannis was the player of the game tonight. There's no doubt. We're going to actually pivot to our next segment, get to the play of the night, which will segue into another guy on Milwaukee's team who they kind of picked up off the scrap heap and is killing it lately. Hold on. Let's go to the X-ray of the play of the night.
And now it's time for the X-ray of the play of the day, brought to us by our friends over at Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services. Nelson and his team will bring the X-ray equipment and the staffing to you if you work in a hospital or a medical office. Get a consultation today at c-armandstaffing.com or give them a call at 561-891-9620. Their fleet of trucks at your service. Again, it's Mobile C. Armand Staffing Services, 561-891-9620. And now, the X-ray of the play of the day.
So I got to go with the late play where Kevin Porter Jr. Kind of split the double, got to the basket. He did a nice ball handling trick there to get through and keep the ball alive, get to the basket. Ultimately, kind of put the game out of reach. So I'm gonna give him a shout out. He was pretty efficient off the bench, 8 of 16, 12 rebounds, 8 assists. So he was on triple double watch. This is a player that's had an up and down career, but at least tonight he looked like he found a home in Milwaukee. So shout out to him. Gio, any other plays you can think of that you think are worth calling out? I think there probably were some other ones in an overtime game, but that one just stuck to my gut is one that was a gut punch.
Yeah, definitely. Whenever he goes off against Miami or Miles Bridges, it hurts a little bit more for reasons I won't get into on this. But anyway, the play of the game for me, Miami went up 107-100. There was like a foul that, brought them a little bit closer. But there was a steal, I believe, the Taurean Prince, which he has elite hands. Like this dude was just putting his hands on the ball, getting strips, getting blocks all over the place. There was a pass down towards the baseline. He got it. There was a little bit of a scramble, and then you saw Giannis just take off and then dunk the ball. That gave him a lead. The game was tied, I believe. That gave them a lead, and they really didn't look back from there. To me, that was the play of the game because you can kind of feel the momentum shifted at that point.
Yeah.
And Miami, even though Bam took 25 shots, you got to keep in mind about 6 or 7 of those shots were grenades that were like at the end of shot clock, where like they really couldn't get anything off DHOs. And that was one of those plays where they were just DHO, DHO, DHO. Davion went baseline, I believe, and then Taurean just took the ball. So to me, that was a play of the game.
Yeah, Taurean Prince, 5 steals tonight. I mean, like when you get that kind of contribution from a player that, he's got defensive chops, but I don't know if 5 steals is on the resume every night. That's big for him. So you're absolutely right that there was a momentum shift there. Ultimately, tough night all around. When you think about these key plays, there were moments down the stretch where Miami got a lead and could have solidified a victory, held on to something on their home floor, but another one slips away, and they're really their backs are up against the wall if they want to play a game at home in the play-in. They got to get the game against Chicago, but they probably got to win out in these last 4 games. So that is a tall task because we've seen, they won 6 in a row. They lost 10 before that. It's tough with these late games to get victories, especially if Tyler is not out there. Hopefully he'll be back soon. We're hoping to get an update tonight on him. Your thoughts on Kyle Anderson's night, because 12 and 14, this was another game where he stepped in where they needed him to basically contribute because they don't have anyone else that could step in. I guess they could have played AHOAMI, so I shouldn't say they don't have anyone else, but you can see that that's where Jaquez is at this moment. Your thoughts on Kyle Anderson's night?
I think he was. I can't recall a night where he's had just a bad night, other than maybe his first game. He's been such a great glue guy. He's been a great connector. He's a great leader. I've kind of just seen how he communicates with everybody, how he has so much poise, that veteran leadership. He's always under control, slow-mo, right? I think he'd be a great piece to continue as obviously you'd want to look for that third star that can kind of follow along in Tyler and Bam's timeline. But he'd be a great veteran along with Alec Burks. I think those are 2 guys because I'm kind of leaning towards I think K Love is going to retire at the end of this season.
Agreed.
I think that these 2 guys can be the vets, right, of the team. Maybe bring them back. Kyle, he's under contract already, and then Alec, maybe at the minimum. I just love the fact that he reminds me a lot of 2016 James Johnson. Obviously,
Yeah.
very different players, but Spo's using them very similarly. These great connectors. Uh, uh, Obviously, James was a better defender than Kyle is, but Kyle, he's a great positional defender, great team defender. He knows where to be. He's always at the right spot. And I like what he's done for this team.
Yeah, he's basketball IQ. You can't necessarily put it always on a stat sheet and measure it with a data point. Some of the stuff that he does just to either find space, create space, some of his herky jerky moves, get guys off balance. He's an interesting player to watch. Also, quickly going to call out that this was a night where, as much as we've been talking up the Rook, the Swedish sensation, Pelle Larsson, he had a tough night, 39 minutes. So there was not for lack of playing time, but three points, 1 of 8 shooting. I chalk this up to sometimes rookies are going to have tough nights, and it is not something to look into further. I'm interested to see if they continue to start him, if he strings together a few more of these type of stinker type games, but he's been pretty resilient throughout the season. So we'll hopefully see him bounce back in the next one. And hopefully Tyler is back, truthfully Wiggins as well, but I am not holding my breath on that. Let's get to our last segment. We'll get to defending the house before we close out here and give a shout out to a new Hall of Famer. We'll talk about that in a minute. Here's Real Estate Shop, defending the house.
And now it's time for our Defending the House segment, sponsored by our friends over at The Real Estate Shop. You can find them at realestateshopfl.com. That's with 2 P's and an E, realestateshopfl.com, or at the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram. This is Javier Iglesias and Amanda Martin. They help buyers and sellers in real estate. They're nimble and protective of their clients. They service the entire Tri-County area. That's Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties with a proven on-market strategy. The Real Estate Shop sellers earn the most money in the shortest time frame because Amanda and Javier have a deep understanding of the local market. So check them out. Again, it's at the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram, realestateshopfl.com, or give them a call at 954-268-9812. And now, who defended the house?
Gio, I will let you, I'll pass you the ball from half court. Hopefully you can grab it and catch the alley-oop. But for me, this comment leads into a little bit of what Milwaukee did to put pressure on Miami in the overtime. 4 turnovers in overtime is never going to work. So shout out to Milwaukee for playing tough defense. But any other defensive nuggets that you got for us just throughout this game? I figured I'd lob this one to you and see what you got.
Yeah, well, first off, shout out to Milwaukee because I'm not a fan of crunch time DHOs. I'm not a huge fan of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was back-to-back possessions where you kind of felt like, okay, Miami's gonna pull this one out. Bam was ISO'd against Giannis. Giannis turned his back. Then Kyle came over, double team. They stripped the ball. I think that turned into 2 points on the other side. I think maybe it was Alec Burks free throws or something like that. Then the very following play, Giannis again went to the cup. And I think he did kind of like a weird little jump hook / finger roll move, and then Bam got a piece, I believe, and then he went ahead and started a fast break that didn't turn into anything. I think those were 2 really nice plays. Bam, shouldering the burden, playing 40+ minutes, still taking on that responsibility. Like a lot of these people that don't like Bam, they don't see the real hoopers know. Like this guy just has to carry so much of a burden, and he's still night in night out brings the same intensity. And Heat fans don't take this for granted because there will be a day whether he's maybe on another team or retired, and we're gonna be like, wow, like Bam really played, all out, 100% every night.
To your point with that, he's moving up the leaderboards in franchise history in multiple stat categories. I think they recently said that he passed Goran Dragic on the assist list. And it's going to be interesting to see how high he gets on. There's a chance he could get most rebounds. There's a chance he could get close to the most assists. And he's essentially a big. I mean, I don't want to just peg him as just a big, but so that's pretty incredible. I'm with you. You know that I'm always shouting out Bam. I think he's really shown up lately, trying to get involved offensively early.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of hot starts. So good stuff from Bam, but we're not going to sugarcoat this. This one hurts.
Yep.
They lose 121-115 in overtime. The Heat fall to 35-43. So best they can do is 39-43 on the season. We're going to close out in a different way, though. Everybody is probably wanting to tune into the Final Four, so we're not going to keep you too much longer for our live audience on YouTube. But Mickey Arison made the Hall of Fame today, was named a Naismith Hall of Famer, and so want to congratulate the owner, Mickey Arison, from the moment that he took over and gave the keys to Pat Riley and got the hell out of the way. It was the best thing that could have ever happened for this organization. So we're going to do a lot more on Mickey, because I think that there's a lot of false assumptions about his willingness to spend money throughout the years. I think we'll acknowledge some mistakes throughout that tenure, like maybe amnestying Mike Miller and things like that. But that's, small things throughout a very long stretch of continued competitive teams, fielding champions, and making basketball matter in Miami. So I and this show want to give a shout out to Mickey Arison, who made the Hall of Fame. Gio, your thoughts on the Heat's owner becoming a basketball Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I think it's well earned, well deserved. I know a lot of the younger crowd, or as you like to call them, the Jits, they don't see that because they really have only seen maybe the past 6 or 7 seasons. But despite that, Miami has, since he's been an owner, he's like you said, he's surrounded himself, as a good leader does, with people that are very smart, people that can run the team, and he's kind of just there. Like he says, I think he even said it himself, I just surround myself with smarter people and I let them do their thing. And ultimately, that has brought a lot of success, right? In the 30 years, 3 championships, not just the championships, but all of the philanthropic efforts, the way that this business operates. I worked for the Heat for 4 years, and I saw that it was truly Heat culture, not just on the court, but off of it as well. So it's well earned, well deserved. Yes, there have been some mistakes, but who doesn't make them? You know what I mean? I think we're in a society that's just hypercritical now, and we need to go ahead and give people their flowers while they still can. And I do think that and I wrote a piece about it maybe about a month ago. I think that him and Pat have another one up their sleeve, even though I know Nick is more the day-to-day guy. I think he's going to be involved in that as well. But I don't think they're going to go out sad, as people think or people say. I think they have one more in them before they hand it over to the next generation. And he's well earned, well deserved honor.
I'm with you. I think they do have one more last act, we'll call it. I don't know what it will look like. I don't know when exactly it will happen. I'd imagine probably within the next calendar year or so, but we'll see. Ultimately, that is a conversation for another day. Heat lose 121-115. Gio, thank you for your time. Shout out to our sponsors. Shout out to Off the Floor. If you're not on our Discord, you need to get on there. $2.99 a month. Become a member. Talk Heat with us day in and day out. Heat lose, but they are back in action. Let's just clarify that for everybody. They're back in action Monday against Philadelphia. And we wouldn't rather be the Sixers on this show because we know what they're going through. So have a good night, and let's hope the Heat get the next one. Peace.